Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And this is a special edition episode 34.5, the GOAT update. But today's episode is brought to you by NIA Security. And today, I'm so excited to have on a 32-year-old from Thorold, Ontario. He's the first repeat Potter and an NCAA all-academic team member. Actually, today's episode is not about that. It is about the Cardiff Devils. Because, well, his time with the Cardiff Devils, he was an EIHL first-team all-star. Every year he was there, I'm pretty sure. A three-time forward of the year, a two-time player of the year. The captain won the EIHL league twice, I think. Playoffs multiple times. Challenge Cup multiple times. 365 points in 304 games played in league competition. 88 points, 67 games played in the Challenge Cup circuit. 21 points in 17 games played in the playoffs. Not many games played in the playoffs. Weird league. He is also known as the Welsh GOAT for greatest of all time. Welcome to episode 34.5, brought to you by NIA Security. Welcome to the podcast, Joey Martin.
Thanks, Wally. Appreciate you having me again. And I must say, you're in mid-season form now with your intros on the podcast. You can tell you're very experienced now, so it's good to see.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like when you said you had to push back the pod half an hour because of a workout. I've been working out too. It's just been in my shed. I'm talking to people. It's just I'm exercising different muscles, you'd say.
Absolutely. You're getting better. That's all that matters.
So I guess today, folks, really big day for me. Really big day. I have another sponsor. However, we're showing the world we can have sponsors worldwide, folks. Global. We got a sponsor from Wales, from Cardiff, NIA Security. They do manned guarding, door supervisors, key holding and alarm response, CCTV supply and install, stewarding. Geez, bad spelling on my notepad today. Event security, and they used to do the Devil security back when I was running amok around there, beating up Noble, and you were chucking water bottles at them, but that's their business. That's what they do, folks. And thank you very much for sponsoring the podcast. They've been fans of the Devil since '86. He's listening to the pod, so I just can't thank them enough. We'll get into that later. But Joey Martin, how are you doing today? We need to dive deep today, I think.
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's been a couple pretty emotional days, I'm not gonna lie. Obviously it was a big decision leaving Cardiff. That wasn't easy at all, for sure. I guess I can kind of explain. A couple weeks ago, there was an opportunity to play in Graz in the Austrian league, and it came up kind of out of nowhere, and it was an opportunity that I thought, wow, like this is a really good opportunity for myself. But obviously I was wanting to go back to Cardiff. That's where, my heart is, and that's where I've been for the past 6 years. So it was a tough decision. But, I thought about it, and I mean, I'm 32 years old now. COVID has ruined the past 2 seasons of mine. And I just thought, I don't know how many more opportunities I'll have to kind of move up in leagues. And Austria has always been a place that I've wanted to experience. So, I don't consider myself old, but, my clock's definitely ticking. So, I thought about it for a long time. And then ultimately I kind of made the decision that I wanted to take that opportunity. And it wasn't easy. I had to call Todd and Steve King. And, those were some of the toughest phone calls I've had to make. We talked about it a lot, and ultimately I got to give them a lot of credit. They, obviously they were disappointed, but they respected my decision in the end. And we kind of, made that decision. So, I think when I originally I signed last week, I didn't totally think about leaving Cardiff. I think I tried to avoid it. I didn't want to think about it too much. And, I think on Wednesday when Cardiff finally announced it. They said they were going to announce it at 7 p.m. So I was kind of waiting around, and I was feeling good, and all of a sudden, they announced it, and I started reading the messages coming through, and it hit me so hard, and I broke down, and I think I was overwhelmed, and it was like 6 years of memories just like ran through my head, and it was crazy. I really wasn't expecting that, and like I said, the messages from our fans, I just couldn't believe how much support and love they gave me, and I was just so happy and emotional, and I couldn't believe it. And then they made a nice video for me, and it took me about an hour to actually watch. It's pretty amazing. So and that's the thing about Cardiff. That's why a lot of people probably on the outside looking like it's a player leaving a club. That happens all the time, but unless you've played for Cardiff and you've been here and you've form these relationships, like you really don't know. And everything I was reflecting on, it wasn't even the hockey side of it. It was everything else. It was all the relationships. It was,
well, you've grown up there. You've grown up
yeah,
there.
Yeah, I came to Cardiff when I was 25 years old. I was there until I was 31. That's a big chunk of my life, and a place I considered home, and some of my best friends there. So it kind of all hit me that day. A lot of good memories, obviously, and yeah, I was overwhelmed.
I know. I can't imagine actually, because nobody really cared when I left Bietigheim, and I'd grown up there and I'd been a good player there. But no, we didn't win when I left. You basically won every year you were there something. I guess other than when I was spray painting myself different colors. That year went awry, but we were hot for a while. But no, I was yeah. I started to realize the effect you had on that town or that city when our sponsor, NIA Security, sent me a video of his daughter finding out that you were leaving. And I didn't send it to you before this because I just I'll send it to you after. But Isabel,
Isabel,
it's not.
I did see this video.
Oh, you did? Well, it's not Joey's fault. You got to chase your dreams. You got to shoot for the stars. And just like Bouncy did, just like you're doing, you got to go for it, because at the end of the day, especially when you're in your shed doing podcasts, you realize it doesn't last that long. And like Alex Foster and I said on his episode, you can always go, not that Cardiff is down. I'm saying you can't always go up. And especially once you're in your 30s and whatever, but you are the GOAT. So yeah, like you got to take this chance. You got to go for it, right?
Absolutely. And the one thing you said is like we've won a lot in Cardiff, and obviously the fans appreciate that. But I think like the biggest thing is the personal relationships that we've had with our fans. Like we're always engaging with our fans, and it's something that I've always taken pride in. It's something I like to do. And once I've gotten to know the Cardiff fans, it's just like I go up to the bar after the game, and we don't just talk about hockey. We talk about anything. And I know these people personally now, and I think they really appreciate that. And I don't think you see that in other sports like soccer, football over in the UK. Like you go to a game and then you go home, you don't interact with the players after. Whereas in Cardiff, we're coming up to the bar and we're engaging and we're talking and we're getting to know them. We're getting to know their families. And now I'm interacting with them on social media. It's like this relationship that you form, and it's really special. And it's something that I just always enjoyed doing. And I think that's maybe why I've received so much more support than just with the hockey itself. And that's what kind of made me emotional. It wasn't the the tweets about hockey, it was just, kind of about me being a nice person and caring and a role model. And I thought that meant so much because, like I said, like these people have influenced me in my life so, positively in my years there. So the love is definitely mutual, and it's just great.
Ah, you know what? I know why you worked out before this podcast is so you don't get emotional. You're getting all the you were lifting all the emotions out so
Yeah.
you didn't get all choked up on here. I get it because listening to you and reliving my time there, it was just like that. And I was only there a year. I couldn't imagine 6.
Yeah, no, I know. And, while I'm on the topic, it's like we always talk about in Cardiff how we're treated so well by, the management, Todd, the owners. And it's so true. And it's such a successful formula because if you think about it, like when we get treated so well by the team, anytime Todd asks us to do like, we do a lot of fan events and appearances and when they do so much for you, you want to give back. It's like when Todd says jump, like I'm asking like how high because of how much he does for me that like I'm always anytime I'm interacting with fans, I'm representing the team, a team that I love. So I'm going to do it no matter what. But when you get treated the way you do by management, you want to go the extra mile. And that means so much for the team. That's, it's hockey in the UK. At the end of the day, we're not getting big sponsorship money, so the player interactions and the engagement is so big, and that's just something I've always loved doing because these people, these friends I made in Cardiff are going to be lifetime friends. I'm going to talk to them, keep in touch, and so it's been awesome.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like now that I'm in the real world and I saw Todd start that organization, and how he did it, he made everybody feel like they were a part of it, right? Like really deep down, everybody was family, right? And like in my work life now, that's kind of how I try to do it, right? Like I try to make my team feel like family.
Yeah.
Because then when I ask them to jump, they'll say, well, how high? And I've built those relationships because I met Todd Kelman in the Cardiff Devils.
Yeah, I agree. And I've learned so much being in this organization away from hockey, just from the business aspect, how you treat people. I mean, all of these things are such good skills that, like you said, translate into the real world, like you're seeing now. So just very, so fortunate. I've always said it to be part of, that organization.
Okay. Well, as we've discussed, the sponsor today, NIA Securities, maybe NIA, not completely sure, but they're owned by Ricky and Martin Maloney. Family business. Devils fans since 86, folks. And they actually got the run to the show there for a good 15 years. They did take they took a step aside to help the Devils spread their wings with peacocks. The Devils were trying to peacock. But this is just what I hear. But anyways, they yearn. They yearn to be back with the Devils. They yearn to make sure a guy like Kevin Noble doesn't die the night of the BBT because he would have died, folks. I almost had him, but the linesman broke that up. But I had him right where I wanted him. And then Joey Martin, he would have been like the elf throwing snowballs with water bottles, folks. He only got one off, but it was the security team that protected Kevin Noble that night, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Me and you were like the Bash brothers that night. They just let us at them. Um,
Absolutely. They had
yeah,
they
I think that's probably one of my top, I'd say top two highlights from in Cardiff. Everybody seems to love that one.
Well,
And,
I do have some notes down for this episode 34.5. Um, but we do have a sponsor, and folks, these people will protect you. Just like Hendo protected me my rookie year to my last year. It is just like that, folks. I'm not joking, guys. If you say Wally 10 to them, first month of your manned guarding services for any potential commercial customers, that's 10% off, folks. You need to be protected if you're like Todd Kelvin in Cardiff or Belfast, and you're like Justin Bieber, and you need protection, folks. Man, but yeah, that's not commercial, but Todd's almost there. Anyways, Wally 15. That is 15% off domestic. That's regular folk like me and you, Joe. Domestic CCTV supply and install. 15% off, folks. And Isabel, we are sorry Joey's moving on. However, just like Peacock, sometimes you got to spread your wings, right, Joe?
That's right. Smooth transition from you, by the way. We were talking, all of a sudden you just went into it.
Boom. We got sponsors, baby. This
You're
is
killing.
so, isn't this different? Just like, this is like back episode 9, folks, the original GOAT episode before he was a multiple potter.
Well, now that you're big time, it's a pleasure that you had me on. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, buddy. And I support your decision. And it's not because Todd gave me 2.3% of the Devils for 2 days and then took it away. That's not why. I had a screenshot. I thought it was a contract. You know what? It's fine. I'm still here to support the Devils. I'll still continue to wave the Devils flag because you guys are the greatest people ever, and so are the fans there. And that's why it's so hard to leave. It's so hard to retire. It's so hard for anybody that goes there to leave because you just get sucked into. It's like a beauty convention at the arena every night, isn't it?
It is. And like you said, I mean,
And
some of the best.
shout out to Big Baz, right? With
Big Baz, yeah.
Yeah, all the boys, even the creepy stalker neighbor.
Yeah, some of the messages I received were like, that his name was Ricky, sent the video of his daughter Isabella crying, and obviously that was sad to see. But somebody else messaged me and they said they had a COVID baby and named him Joey after me. It's just like, it's just
well, like honestly, to think about how old Colby is now, and that when we started there, it was our first years together. Colby, the memories I have with him playing for the Devils, and even Zoe for her brief moment on the ice after games, like it's a very special place to play, and it's Todd, but it's the people of Cardiff, right? It's the people that live there and the fans that are so passionate that are just they're crazy.
And like everybody says, like Canadians are so nice, and I'm like, have you met the Welsh?
Yeah.
They are so nice. From even when we first got there, before we even played hockey, I remember walking the street. I think I had my Toronto Blue Jays hat on, and somebody recognized like, oh, this must be obviously a Canadian playing hockey here, and they came up and just like my first moments in Cardiff was just there. People were so friendly, and I just knew right away. I was like, wow, this is awesome. And
well, you know what's kind of disheartening for me is as discussed, I think on the first time, is I tried to be your agent at the start of this whole thing, and I could have got this for you 6 years ago, bud. And I tried to. You know, I made some calls. I did make some calls behind your back, just so you know.
If I recall, I think maybe we had a few beers, and you told me you'd be your agent, so I didn't know if that was.
I did try and help you out behind your back, just to let you know. Sorry about that. And folks, you know what? I'm not gonna say. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not an agent. I'm a podcaster. But players, teams of all ages and sizes, I'm just letting you know. When teams want phone numbers, I have quite a bit of them because I'm not going to say where Gratz got your phone number. I'm not saying I have any connections to the equipment manager there. Episode something with the old fella. You know what he texted me today now that you're going there? On a more positive note is perhaps maybe your team's got this big enough budget now that you're in the big leagues that they need one last pregame speech with Deese and Wally for the Gratz 99ers. Wouldn't that be weird?
Not for me. I think I've seen it too many times. I'm sure the other guys will think, what is going on? But
yeah, I don't think any other organization will let people have that much fun.
Not sure it'll phase me anymore. But I'd love to see you come in and give a motivational speech. That's
Yeah. Well, the other news is, I guess you probably made this decision before you saw that the Cardiff Devils are now going to Lausanne, where Piglet is residing now. And fun fact, I would like to start a motion on my podcast. If people, want to donate and get if they all want to sponsor the pod, and if they want me to do a podcast from Switzerland with pigs, if they want that and they want me to come over and watch the Devils play and hang out with me and the family, I don't think I'll be allowed by myself this time. I think you'd have to raise enough funds for the whole family. But if you could get us all to Lausanne to podcast with pigs at the top of the Alps, maybe even Todd and Steve will be there. Who knows, right, folks? But just trying to start a motion on the pod here because we do have sponsors now. It's a pretty big deal, this podcast, right, Joe?
That's right. I think that would be a pretty fun time. That's a great draw for Cardiff. Even, they finally got a German team and a Finnish team as well. I saw that, and because I always wanted to play against one of the teams from the Dell, and so
it's the DEL, the Deutsche Ice Hockey League, the Dell. Yeah, you're so Canadian. Okay. Well, this is only a half an episode, right? So one of the parts of the show we always do is, where are you now? What are you up to now? Because last time we talked to you, you were in Norway.
Yeah, I was in Norway. Unfortunately, our season got canceled because of COVID, which was tough because our last game we played was January 5th, and then we actually got canceled mid-March. So it's like 2.5 months of basically felt like training camp. We were just skating, lifting. It was tough because 1 week we thought we were playing the weekend, and then they'd say no, and it was disappointing. That's for sure. So anyways, I went back to Canada and did the whole hotel quarantine, and then the rest of the quarantine back with family, and then they're in a pretty intense lockdown. So I thought I'd get out of there.
I'm there.
Yeah, you're there. So I came over. I'm in Colorado right now. This is where my girlfriend, her family's from. So I'm over here visiting, which has been great. I'm able to.
Was she from Cardiff?
No, we met in Cardiff, but she's from Colorado.
Okay.
Crazy stuff, right?
Well, you never know where the world's going to take you. And that is one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on today, is like, I remember being a hockey player, and when you look back on it now that you talk to all these people in your shed, and maybe you can get compensated globally from it. Just saying. Like, support the Wally Foundation. This is pretty cool. But like you realize, like, there's decisions when you sign a contract for a year. Like, I made those decisions of like where you sign for that year. It changes your life.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot to consider. And that's the funny thing about signing overseas. Sometimes you'll get, like, if you have an agent, he'll say, hey, we've got interest in this team. Here's the offer. They want to know in 5 hours. And you're like, well, hold on a minute. Like, can I get some details? Like, I'm moving overseas with, my partner. And if you have a family, you're moving your family. It's kind of like, you need to know a few more details, but it's the way a lot of those teams kind of operate. They throw you an offer and they want you to pressure you. They want you to take it.
There's, and as we've discussed, there's only one Cardiff Devils.
That's right. You're right. But it's definitely interesting to see how some other teams kind of operate. And I don't know if they think like some players are just willing to just accept an offer within, the first 10 minutes and ask questions about details later, but that's kind of a part of the business. So that's why, obviously Cardiff did an excellent job in bringing players over and providing details and making it so much more comfortable to move overseas with your family and partner. I mean, that's huge, right? Like, it's a big deal. You're not just.
Well, when I was done with the Devils, I remember writing a letter, like not a letter. It was like a basically I just wrote out my story with them, which apparently continues on because now I have a sponsor from Cardiff, and we just want them to protect players like us in case there's Kevin Nobles in the world that like we're protecting ourselves from ourselves because we would have killed him that night, wouldn't we have, Joe?
I mean, I don't think he would have done well. That's for sure.
It was NIA Security, folks. That's who protected him that night. That is the only reason we didn't get into too much trouble that night. Heck of a water bottle throw, but great security
I
team
played
to get
baseball.
him into that locker room so fast because you know what, there were fans ready to rock too in the BBT back that night, and you know what, it was a security team that you know what, they made sure things didn't get out of hand, right? And that's just what the Devils need. That sounds like they're fans. They're gonna have an eye on what's acceptable and not, but they also care. It's like a family business, right, Joe?
That's right. You got it, buddy.
Wally 10 and 15, folks. Um, it's a little different, eh, with sponsors now, Joe? Little different vibe here, or what?
Can't believe it.
We've come so far.
We've
We've
come
come
so
so far.
we can't go too far. We got to stick to our roots, though, Wally.
Oh, there's no problem with that. Okay, so Norway, it got canceled. We talked about Dees, and he's going to be in Graz, and I'm very looking forward to checking out how it goes next season because this is what I still like about hockey is that I still got some active players coming on the pod, that we aren't just all like me in the shed, that there are still some active buddies of mine. And you're still young, Joe. That's why, yeah. So, I would like to know your favorite Devils memories. That's one of my notes here is Devils memories other than the Noble incident where NIA Security really helped him out.
Oh, my favorite memories. I mean, said it before, that first year at the Challenge Cup was pretty special. Like we kind of went into that season not really knowing expectations, and beating Sheffield in Sheffield, who were a really good team. That was amazing. And then you saw how much it meant to our fans, and you're like, wow, okay, this is pretty fun. This is special. So that was definitely, that always kind of sticks out in
And
my mind.
the people that were on that team, like I didn't know it meant that much to win the Challenge Cup. I didn't know going to the finals was going to mean that.
Right, exactly. And then we
But
even
you have
didn't
Carl and Hendo and Dees, and you have all and Todd and Lord, everybody was different in their own way, but everybody was a beauty.
yeah, we had a lot of characters and to win. And then even like we lost the league, I think, by 2 points.
I
Like
know.
that was, I mean,
Steelers,
that
yuck.
still stings.
I know.
But that was, one of my favorite. Also, winning the league the first time was huge. I just remember feeling so satisfied because it's such a hard title to win. It's a long season, and those years, like Sheffield was so good, and Belfast and Nottingham. Like I think if you look on paper, like we probably still maybe shouldn't have won, but we just got it done. We just were such a team, and I remember being so, that just felt so good. Um, and even the first playoff win, that was pretty special too. I don't know, they're all the kind of like different types of special memories, but
Wow, winning's winning. It's just you were always doing it with the same team. Like I won with different teams, so they were like all very different that way. Where
yeah,
yours were all with the same team and the same fans, just different ways of getting there, which I really do think that the UK league, just because it came up here, is probably the weirdest league in the world because it could be a regular season game in November and you could have an injury where like you take a couple games off and you're going to be okay, but those two games in November mean just as much as the games in January where it's all on the line. So it's like if you can go, like every game is game 7 from the first drop of the puck, game 1.
yeah, Exactly. And it's like usually in regular season, where there's a longer, where the season's not the main title, it's like you lose a game, you're kind of like, all right, guys, don't worry, we'll learn from it, and we'll get better. It's like, no, like we
No.
needed to learn already. Like we can't afford to be learning later. Like you need to figure it out now. And that's such a different mentality throughout the year. That's why the year is so long. It's such a grind.
Yeah,
But
you're gonna, yeah. You can lose games next year until the playoffs, eh?
well, even this year it was different. I mean, we started, we were supposed to be one of the top teams, and we started pretty miserable, and it was bad, but it wasn't like the end of the world. It wasn't. We knew we were going to get it together, and there was still lots of time, and it was just such a different mentality. But I also, going back, I want to bring up the one memory is when we won the league in Belfast, and that was so much fun. It was like we were tied near the end of the game, and Hotham goes end to end and like makes it look like easy, scores to put us up late in the game, and like it was so perfect because we played in Belfast Friday, we didn't play Saturday, and we played home Sunday. So we win the league Friday night in Belfast, and we got to celebrate with kind of like just the team, because in Belfast not a lot of like families and or other people are there.
Did you go to
So
the same bar we always went to?
yeah,
What's it called?
is it Filthy McNasty's? I think.
We always went to the same one.
Yeah,
It's a
it was
cool
that one.
spot.
We brought the cup, and it was nice because we didn't play the next day. We didn't fly out to the next morning, so it was like, and we got to kind of celebrate with like just the team, which
And
was
some fans, right? The rock,
it.
the hardcore ones.
There were some fans there too, so it was like it was so fun. But then we don't play Saturday. Then we play Sunday at home, and then we get to celebrate all over again with our families and with the fans. So it was like
Yeah, it just rock.
couldn't.
And so, how'd you do at the playoff set after that party?
Oh, how did we do that on the Sunday?
No, in the playoffs. Like, isn't that like you guys had to have been like
I
getting
mean,
after it?
well, we won the league. I think we had a few games left. I can't remember that year. I think we might have won the playoffs that year too.
I find it weird, like when you can grind it out to win something like that, and like every game, and then you finally clinch it to really gear up, to really get ready for what it takes to win those few playoff games. It is that's why there's different winners for the different trophies over there, right?
Right, I know. It's obviously different from us coming from, if you're coming from North America, you're used to that long, lengthy playoff, that best of seven series where you really develop that hate against a team, and it's so much fun. And then you go over there, and I mean, I still, the playoff weekend, I still loved. It was so fun, but it's definitely different, right?
I actually really enjoyed it because it kept you motivated. It kept you into it because you could go up to Hull or one of those other teams, and like you knew if you blew that game, like that was a big deal, and like you could not lose those games, and it just made all those games more exciting. So I really enjoy the way that league's set up, and it's kind of cool that they do it totally different than the rest of the world, right?
Yeah. And like I said, like I've always, obviously, I love the best of seven playoffs. It's my favorite. But when you do experience the playoff weekend in Nottingham with
Oh
packed
dear.
hosts, every team's fans in the building, it's like pretty incredible atmosphere. And it's so fun that you're like, wow, actually, this is pretty neat. This is pretty cool.
Well, Joe, I experienced that not even as a player. I was only a pregame speaker. Um, I could hang out with
Everybody plays a role.
we were all there to win it, but I do recall you guys lost the semifinal, and then you were playing for like the bronze medal, and Lordo thought I was gonna dress up and do something and like give a pregame speech before a bronze medal game. And then I just showed up for game time, and he's like, "Are you kidding me? What are you doing?" And I was like, "You think I'm doing that for third place? Get a grip, bud."
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, that
But he
was.
wanted to win every game, and he wanted it all to be like, but when you guys couldn't win it all, that was when it was done. It was over, and I was like, I am not doing this anymore. I did it because I thought it might be helping. I don't give a shit about third place.
Yeah, I mean, and that's how most players feel. But Lordo, it's kind of like he's got one gear, and that's what makes him great. But he felt like, I remember I didn't play that game. I was injured, but he kind of felt like the fans were there. We owe it to the fans to put another good performance in, and
Those fans were just trying not to throw up in the crowd. I was with
yeah,
them the night before. I know what they were doing. They were a
I know.
mess. You think when the Cardiff lost, they gave a shit either? Nobody cared.
No, and I think we were playing. I mean, like I said, I wasn't playing, but the guys were saying I think we played like Fife, and like
I heard about it. I
in
remember. They were
Cardiff was
like,
going.
"What are you guys doing?" Like, I can't even. I can't even
Wasn't
stand up.
Fife like, why don't you guys mix in? Because like I think we had like curfew that night, or like Lordo didn't want guys showing up hungover. Because I think a lot of teams show up maybe an hour of sleep if they went to sleep, and I think that was the case with Fife. And I think Fife was kind of chirping Cardiff, like mixing a beer and stuff like that. And
I mean,
that's a tough game.
it's a
Like,
tough game that does not need to exist, folks. I don't care how many tickets you
yeah,
sell
the
that game.
player,
That no player wants to play that game. Nobody wants to be there. It's a joke. But
yeah,
everything else about it's awesome except playing that game. Especially if your coach thinks you're gonna spray paint yourself naked and jump back and do something to finish third place. Are you kidding me?
yeah, and especially like you said, we lose, our season's done. Like
It's over.
the
You're
last
done.
thing, the
You
last thing
play
they,
to win hockey. You play to win. You don't play. But I understand like World Juniors, you get a bronze medal, but like
yeah, that's different. We're
that's different.
talking,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's countries, folks. That's
this
countries.
is like you're not getting a medal. Your season just ended. You're devastated. You're deflated, and
And you
then like
play tomorrow. Play tomorrow.
and
Yeah.
then you're like got to go to bed for a meaningless game. Yeah, that's a tough one, but I understand the league sells like a package of tickets and games they promise. So
Yeah.
anyway, I think we
That's
spent
a
enough.
tough one for the players. I do know Daryl Anders is going to come on the pod, and he did tell me at one point, which is when I think they stopped giving out the medals, but he told me when he played in the UK that they gave him his gold medal and the boys skated around the ice to thank the fans. You know, you high five them. They
Yeah,
threw all the medals in the crowd.
really.
Yeah, they did want them.
I mean,
But he got in he rolled over his side by side, so he's been on the DL for the pod for a little bit here. But we're gonna get him on. He's a character too from back in the day in Denmark. But anyways, Devils episode here, and this is only 34.5, folks. And Devils memories. So you got the ones where you won it. I guess I don't have this on the notes, but like I'm just curious. Like, don't say me because I don't want you to. But anybody else, like, your favorite, like, just give a couple shout outs of like people that changed your life while you were there.
oh, in Cardiff, I mean, I couldn't just name one, honestly. I
Well, not one. No, I know. Just I know.
like
I'm not gonna do that to you. There's so
I
many
could,
people that, yeah, like
yeah,
there's so many guys that have even been there since you started there that are still there. Like the Batchies, Joey Haddad, Boundsy was there most of the time. Did I say Batchy? But
yeah.
Richie, like Pigs was a long stay. Like there's so many guys that like you get caught up in the Devils and the family that it is that you're like, geez, I'm still in my shed talking about it.
Yeah, and I think that was what kind of gave me the feels is like you're thinking about those groups in Cardiff, and we were fortunate to have like a core group every year, and you kind of think like we'll probably never get that group of guys together again. You're like, it just kind of hits you. You're like that is just so sad, and that happens in hockey. We're kind of used to that, but like I said, it definitely is more special in Cardiff, and you wish you could be with that same group forever. You don't want it to end, but I guess all good things have to come to an end at some point. And it seems like there's going to be kind of a new era in Cardiff. But like I said this to Todd, it's the people, the owners, the management. the foundation that they have in Cardiff, they're always going to be successful because of their formula, the way they treat players, the amount of good people in that organization. I mean, you got guys like Neil Francis. I have to give him a shout. He does so much work behind the scenes, and he doesn't really get any credit for it, and he never really asks for credit. And there's so many people like that are all pulling in the right direction, and it's just amazing. If you can I can sit here and think about so many people that contribute to the success of the Devils. And it's not just the players on the ice. It's so many other people.
There are so many people that are so passionate about the Devils that they'll do basically anything, right? Like that's why you need a good security team around the arena to make sure like nobody well, just want to make sure that if anybody's taking their top off in the crowd and waving flags and like, spray painted as the goat, like that you got a good security team, like NIA Security there in Cardiff. And 10% off for commercial and 15% off for domestic, right, Joe?
That's right.
No doubt about that. And I hope Isabel has stopped crying.
I do as well.
But what you've done for the kids of Cardiff, what you've done for the hockey landscape of Cardiff, I don't think you're ever going to get to really realize it until the day they're retiring the jersey. And it's like whenever you retire, like 15 years from now, and they're like, okay, let's put it up. Like he came back and played a couple years when he was 45 after like the KHL and the Swedish Elite League or whatever. And you come back and they raise the banner and I jump out of a closet naked, spray painted, and it's going to be great. I can't wait. But you don't get these opportunities every day in life. And in my opinion, I know people will disagree with me on here, but I lived a bunch of different places and I met a bunch of different cultures and people, and it shaped who I am. It shaped that I can do this and talk to people wherever was because I went out and did it. And I'm happy the GOAT is finally ready to run away from the barn.
Quite the metaphor there. I like that.
Was that right? Did that make sense?
Sure. You're rolling. But yeah, this is obviously, I think, a really good opportunity for myself. It's going to be challenging, but that's what I'm looking for. It's obviously a situation that's not comfortable, but I think those are what kind of build your character. And it's just an experience I'm looking for. Like you said, it's another chance to explore a new city and travel a little bit more in that area, which I haven't really before. So it's like you said, it's more life experience, it's hockey experience, and
it's a challenge. You got like a new challenge of like I think there were a couple years in my career looking back on it after these pods where I got stale and I was doing well in a league and I didn't leave it and I should have. I'm actually quite thankful that never happened to you, and I'm surprised that you never, I guess, did get stale in Cardiff because you were awesome every year.
Well, I mean, we had good teams every year, and I'm playing with really good players, and Lordo's putting me in situations to produce and have success. So, it was definitely not just me. It was my, surrounding cast. But that's why I never wanted to leave, because I knew every year we were competing for championships, and I'm in an environment with great people. I love coming to the rink every day.
And you're happy. You're happy.
I'm happy. And that's the thing, we'd have some players come from other leagues and they get to Cardiff and, they just say, wow, you don't get treated like this everywhere else. You can move up in leagues and
you have no idea what I went through though.
Yeah, but you're not going to get treated the same. I mean, we've talked about it many times about how we get treated in Cardiff, but when I kind of heard stories of other players coming from other leagues, that resonated with me. And I was like, yeah, like I do have, like, what would I be kind of chasing? Like my goal growing up was to make the NHL. it wasn't really to like play in like the top leagues in Europe. Obviously, that'd be great, and I would like to do it. But like when I was going overseas, I just wanted to play in a competitive team and be happy and enjoy playing hockey professionally. And that's what I had.
And I know your bar wasn't high enough, and that's why I tried to become your agent, and that's why I tried right away. As soon as I saw you play, and we were in the first, it was the first training camp. We went out as a team, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing after hockey, but I want to be your agent. And you're like, well, like, I don't, and I was like, no, seriously, like, I know people, and like, as I've shown on this podcast, I actually do, Joe, and I could have helped you. Just saying. But I'm glad you did everything you did in Cardiff, because it's it's weird how all these different lives intersect, and what you did in Cardiff has a lot to do with this, why I even have a podcast, is that you did stay there. You did be you, and then I came over and did my thing. And that Wally night, which is another note I have on here, is the timing of that thing. That was November 2019. Andrew Lord's the coach. Ben Bounds is the goalie. Joey Martin's the captain. Dixon's on the team. Richie's there. Batchy's there. Everybody, there's still a bunch of guys I know that I know will think it's funny what I'm coming over to do, and that there was even any reason to bring me over. Was that all you guys had stayed there, and it was how they treated you. It's the city you're living in. Um, it's that you're happy day to day, and you, as a hockey player, everything you want to do is win, and that's what Cardiff does, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we've kind of gone over kind of everything, and you're so right, and that's why you see so many guys just stay year after year.
Well, and that Wally night, so that happens in November, which if that doesn't happen, I don't think I'm ever doing a podcast, because I would still feel like I'm out of the game, still feel like I'd have nothing to talk about, or just never would have even came up. Like, um, so
I mean,
it,
I'm sure you're a social butterfly. I'm sure you would have still made it happen, but I think your Wally night, you really spread your wings there, and I
mm,
think maybe you drew some attention. Like this guy's got some personality. We'd like to listen to his stories.
no, it was more just it's when you're out of the game for that long, and you were one person at one point in your life, and then you are like in the business world, you kind of have to be different than the hockey world. You can't say the same things, you can't chirp people. um, you become the business side of it, and then I go over there, and they're doing that for me. And I was like, geez, I could be a hockey player for one more night. I could I could be Wally for one more night before I get all dressed up and gel my hair and go back to work the next day. And like, it's still running a team. It's still the same thing. But in the hockey world, I guess you just do different things, don't you?
You do, and I mean, I'm glad we got to have the Wally night that year because obviously COVID sprung up on us at the end of the season, which canceled our season. And, I think 2 years later, now they're going to have a season this year. I don't think there's as many guys on that team that will have known you. So,
Or the coach. I don't think it's the same thing when I'm standing in the coach's room, and whoever that guy is has never seen the whole package.
yeah. So it would be a little
And
different.
Biggs
So,
isn't there. The whole thing doesn't work. Like, if that night doesn't happen when it does, there's no podcast, there's no any of this. I honestly can't thank the Cardiff Devils enough, and I know you're the same way, right?
absolutely. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
And this episode has been brought to you by Ricky and Martin Maloney. Family business, the NIA Security, and they do all your big construction needs, folks. They got people, man, guards, everything. And you know what? They might even throw a water bottle at Noble if you ask them kindly. But do you have anything else to say before we shut this down? Like, I really can't thank you enough, because when a guy makes a decision like this, um, I know how much I love the Devils. We all know how much you love the Devils. We've talked about it. Making these decisions, like, it's almost like you're like at that age where you're like, well, it's now or never. Like, it's time to go, right? If you're ever gonna try and do it, and like you, yeah, you gotta go for it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think like the biggest thing, I didn't want to disappoint anybody by leaving. I didn't want to disappoint the owners and Todd and our fans, especially. And so I think when they announced it and I just saw all the overwhelmingly kind messages, I just like, I mean, I'm sorry if I couldn't respond to all of them, but I've read them all and I've tried to acknowledge them. But I just want to thank everybody in Cardiff for, influencing my life since I've been there. It's been best years of my life for sure. Um, try not to get emotional, but
Now
I
you
just
were
can't
you were
thank
you
them.
worked out you worked out before. You're fine.
I just can't thank everybody enough. Obviously they don't make it easy to leave. That's for sure.
Well, that's actually like you say, the recipe for success is the players they want to keep, they can keep, and the players they really just, they're trying to look for an upgrade, they can upgrade, and that is a recipe for success in any hockey team, is being able to keep the players you want, and being able to attract the players you want. And you know what? I was almost a 2.3% owner of that team until Todd took it away via message, whatever. It's just a screenshot. I thought it was real, Todd. Thought I owned part of the team. And you know what? If anybody wants to sponsor the Walton's trip to Switzerland to have a podcast with pigs, feel free to sponsor that too, right,
Does
Joey?
that does that include your beard tab?
No, that's just flights. And you know what? We'll spread it out. We'll have a lot of sponsors. We'll see what happens. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Pigs already texted me. He's like, you got to come. And I'm like, well, I thought I was an owner. I guess I'm not. So I can't come. But I actually want to go to Graz too and see you and D. So it's weird talking to all my old friends, because I never did this as much as I should have until I started putting it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, right?
Right.
But
Well,
now I get to talk to you all the time, and we're talking about this and we're getting it out there, and you get to tell everybody how it all actually goes down, right? Because when you're a fan, you don't really understand all the things that go into these decisions.
that's right. And I thank you for allowing me to use your platform and your millions of listeners out there. I can, because I can send a tweet and try to express myself, but it's nothing like
Talking about it.
talking about it exactly.
It's
So
like texting someone or writing to someone on a computer or actually calling them.
right, exactly. So
Um,
I
well, I
appreciate it.
I honestly wish you nothing but this, but success in Graz. I was almost a Graz 99er at one point. They came and watched me play for the Bietigheim Steelers. Pretty big deal. Um, I I wish you nothing but the success. I know you're gonna do great, and as I'll probably screw. Actually, I'm probably gonna do this. I'm gonna take a video of what I do, of like the videos of like Doug Clarkson saying like Joey Martin changes teams. Like, that's what he does. He comes in and he changes teams. And that's what you've done in Cardiff. And I tell you, I would not want to be the new coach in Cardiff. That guy has a high bar. Good luck, big guy, without your goat.
Well, shout out to Dougie. Dougie's the one who got me in Cardiff, so I gotta thank him for everything.
And he did say, he's like, well, you have to take Joey. Like, he changes teams, and look at what actually happened, folks. Look at what your last 6 years have been. I know it's sad right now. However, um, like Todd's in control. I don't know the new coach. Like, everything's gonna be fine,
Yeah.
but um, um, you don't get players like you every day, Joe. And the Graz 99ers are lucky. They are.
Well, I
That's why I
appreciate
should have been your
that.
agent, even though I'm making these texts and calls for you. Even now that I'm a podcaster and I don't get a commission, I'm just saying, Joe.
Well, I appreciate your kind words, Wally. And like I said, I thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. And like I told you our rookie year, if anybody asks for your number, I got it.
It's a good way to end it.
Yeah, no, and because he's kind of like Justin Bieber soon in Graz, folks. These guys only work in the UK. So just so you know, NIA Securities are only in the UK. So when he's Justin Bieber in Graz, sorry, Joe, we're not going to be able to support you. But we could support you in the Noble Instant. That's, you know what? Thank you for being here. That was lovely. And this has been episode 34 and a half, the GOAT Update.